So this is NetSparker, and it's a dedicated dynamic analysis security assessment tool. So by dynamic analysis, I mean that it's going to run against a live running website. And in fact, you can see that I've already got the target website in there. Now, I'm not passing in any particular path that I think might be at risk of SQL injection. I've simply given it the root of the website. There's a bunch of configurability here around what sort of test we actually want to run, but I'm just going to leave everything default. And what that means is that NetSparker is going to look for a whole range of different risks. Now, it is a commercial product. You do pay for the privilege, but it's a great point and shoot sort of tool, and you'll see just how comprehensive the results are after this scan runs. But before I actually run it, I want to do one more thing. I'm going to jump down into authentication and into form authentication, because this is a website where you log in, and there will be risks hidden behind the login. And what you really want to do when you're looking for SQL injection risks is make sure you look everywhere. Just because a particular feature of a site might be behind a login doesn't mean it's okay to have injection risks, or any other risks for that matter. So it's really important to assess those authenticated pages as well. Now, I've already entered my credentials in here, and these are just the form credentials of the Hack Yourself First website. It's exactly what I would enter into the website when I log in. Plus, you can also see I've got the URL of the login form up here as well. And this is really all we need. Now, what I want to do is just verify this login and log out. Now, I've previously verified it, which is why I've got the tick next to the button here, but I want to check this again. And what NetSparker is now going to do is try and log in on the left and then show me a log out view on the right. And I'm going to validate that this is correct. And it's simply to make sure that NetSparker does know how to authenticate to the website and what it looks like when we're authenticated versus not authenticated. Now, on the left, we should see this login simulation. So what it looks like when we're actually authenticated. I'm going to hit the little menu icon here, and I can see that it says Hello Troy, so I must be authenticated. Now on the right, this should be our logged out state. So let's close the modal, hit the menu again, and I've got a log in link. So this checks out. Left is logged in, right is logged out. We've now verified that NetSparker knows how to log into the website. So I'm going to say OK to that, and I'm going to hit the Start Scan button. Now this is a very comprehensive test. It's going to run for quite some time, and what we'll see down the bottom left-hand corner of the screen is the current progress, and it's going to go through and make many thousands of requests. And as these requests are being made, we'll see the sitemap being built up in the top left of the screen, and we'll see all of the results appearing to the right of the screen. So categorization of risks and then individual issues down beneath that. This is going to take a long time to run, so I'm going to leave it going, and then we'll come back to it once it finishes and have a look at what it's found. Okay, so the scan has just wrapped up. And per the scan information down here on the bottom left-hand corner, one of the big things we can see here is the total number of requests. So that's over 15,000 requests that NetSparker has made to this website over the course of almost an hour and a half. So it's a very comprehensive set of tests. Now on the top left here, we can also see a sitemap. And what NetSparker has done is just built up a logical map of what is actually on the website. So we can see the paths that it's found here and the resources it's found, as well as some messages about certain things we might want to take a look at security-wise. Now before I start looking at the results though, I want to flick over to the browser and show you what the site now looks like. So here's the site. If we scroll down a little bit, we'll see that we've got a lot of votes in the system. In fact, we've got 290 votes for Pagani. And if we drill down and actually have a look at these Paganis, and look at the way error, and then scroll down to our comments, we'll see that there's an awful lot of content in here that looks like a SQL injection attack. Now this is really important, and it's something to remember with dynamic analysis tools. In order to test for risks, they need to submit data to the server. Now that can play havoc with your live data, so you've got to be really cautious about where you run tools of this class. They're often better off being run in a staging environment or a test environment. somewhere where it doesn't matter if the data gets corrupted in this fashion. Now, we're not necessarily seeing this data because of a SQL injection risk. Rather, this data was used to probe for SQL injection risks. But of course, that does beg the question, what risks did NetSparker actually find? Let's jump back over and take a look. So looking at the issues section here in the NetSparker report, I obviously want to focus on the SQL injection ones. And you'll see 3 different classes of injection here. So let's take a look at this one first. And what we'll find here is a number of different paths where SQL injection was found. So it was found in the Vote API. We saw that one during the course. It was also found in cars by cylinder, and we saw that many, many times. And then we can also see it was found in makes and leaderboard. Again, we also saw injection there. So this has effectively automatically confirmed what we have found. Now I want to give us a little bit more room up the top here and have a look at the information that NetSparker gives us about this risk. And one of the reasons I really like NetSparker as a tool is that it's very, very easy to consume this information. What you need to consider as an ethical hacker is that once you do find vulnerabilities in a system, how are you going to communicate those? Inevitably, it's going to be a developer that needs to get this information and fix the underlying risk. So it's really important that they get easily consumable information. So what I like about NetSparker's approach is that it's very easy just to go and see the risk in action. We'll just check this URL out. And here we can see that underlying SQL exception being exposed. Now while we're here, note that NetSparker is using exactly the same approach as we've looked at throughout this course, which is by trying to convert something that is not an integer to a data type of int. So as clever as tools like this are, they're not doing anything that you don't know already. It's just that you've had to learn the underlying mechanics throughout this course. Let's jump back over to NetSparker. And the other thing I like here is the classifications. So we get data that puts it in the context of things like PCI, the payment card industry, or OWASP, and I've talked about OWASP already. Again, all of this is really, really nice, easily consumable information. Now, as well as this first SQL injection finding, it's also found blind SQL injection on the same paths, which you'd expect if it's already confirmed error-based SQL injection. And if we have a look at an example like Supercar Leaderboard, we can see from the URL that it's actually using a time-based blind injection attack here. So there's the wait for delay syntax that we manually implemented in the blind SQL injection module. So again, this should be very familiar. It's just automated. So this is really neat. The fact that we've just given NetSparker a URL and all of that hard work that we've manually gone and done throughout this course is simply automated away. It's not just SQL injection either. When we look back at the scan results, we can see that there were a bunch of critical ones, and clearly SQL injection are the critical ones. But we also have vulnerabilities by other classifications as well. Important, medium, even some low and information ones. And as we scroll through, we can see that there are different types of risk here. Cookies not secure, passwords over HTTP, cross-site scripting being another big one from the OWASP top 10. We're not going to go through those in this course, but the important point I want to make here is that a dynamic analysis tool like NetSparker is exceptionally good at finding all of these risks which are discoverable simply by issuing the right request patterns. So a product like this is a great thing to have in your arsenal of testing tools.